Hi, I'm Alex Howard, and welcome to this video where I wanted to answer some of your questions around what is the methodology that I use, what are the qualifications that you require to do it, and what's some of the context and history behind this methodology and approach. So the methodology that I use is called Therapeutic Coaching. And therapeutic coaching integrates key elements and principles from a psychotherapeutic approach, where we're looking at the impacts of the past in particular, with a more solution-based coaching methodology, but ultimately with a mindfulness element of learning to be more present and more connected in the now. And the therapeutic coaching methodology has been developed by myself and my colleague Anna Duschinsky over the last 20 or so years. And really it has grown out of the work that we have been doing at the Optimum Health Clinic, where originally we worked a lot with people with complex chronic illnesses, things like fatigue, fibromyalgia, ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, and so on. And then over the years, that work has broadened to working with people with anxiety, sleep issues, relationship challenges, trauma, and so on. And my original background and training around this was as a result of my own journey with ME, chronic fatigue syndrome as a teenager and then into my early 20s. One of my great frustrations was that I saw many different psychologists, doctors, therapists, experts, and no one really seemed to have the answers to the difficulties that I was struggling with, which forced me to look outside of the mainstream, but also to see that no one person had all of the answers, but people had bits of the jigsaw. And how could that be put together in a framework which is more comprehensive and more integrative? So I decided to do a traditional psychology degree. So I did a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology at the University of Wales in Swansea. And I got a first-class degree. I won the Best Student Award. And the natural next step would have been to go and become a chartered psychologist. The challenge that I had was that the methodologies that were most helping in my own lived experience were not the methodologies that I would be learning doing a 3-year chartered psychology training. And so I decided to go and train in the things that I felt the most passionate about. And I did a diploma in clinical hypnotherapy, NLP, life coaching, along with various other trainings and various other methodologies. I did that original training at the London College of Holistic Medicine, which doesn't exist these many, many years later. And one of the challenges back in those days is there just weren't many organizations offering these kinds of trainings. And that was part of the reason why 18 or so years ago, we launched our own psychology practitioner training, because we were struggling to recruit practitioners into the Optimum Health Clinic. So we started to create the training that we ultimately wanted to exist. And over the years, that training has continued to grow and develop, and we've had hundreds of people come through that training. And I think what's most important about the therapeutic coaching approach is it is an alive body of work. It's constantly being refined. It's constantly being tweaked in ways. The core fundamental principles don't tend to change, but we're always trying to find ways to be more effective within the applications of the framework. And that is driven by working at any one time with well over 1,000 people through the practitioner team at the Optimum Health Clinic. So it's a methodology that's driven by what actually works in a real life clinical setting, not just what it might say in various textbooks and so on. So the therapeutic coaching practitioner training is a pathway to accreditation through the International Coaching Federation, which is the global governing body of coaching. It's ultimately a coaching qualification, not a psychotherapy qualification. There are specific pathways and trainings, of course, towards psychotherapy. And there are things that therapeutic coaching does really well, and there are things that therapeutic coaching doesn't do. So things it doesn't do: we don't diagnose people. If you need a diagnosis, you should go and see a medical doctor or a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist, depending upon what the diagnosis might be. We also don't work with certain severe conditions. We don't work with things like personality disorders. We don't work with severe mental health issues. Particularly what we are working with is helping people optimize the quality of their day-to-day life. And that means we may be teaching people strategies to calm their nervous system. We may be teaching people strategies to grow and enhance their confidence. We may be teaching people strategies to be able to optimize their sleep, to be able to ultimately have more self-awareness of what's happening in their experience, and strategies to be able to create change. And different approaches work for different people. So one of my real missions is to put as much of the work that we do as we can out there into the world. That's why we have my YouTube series In Therapy, because some people are very drawn towards this approach, often because, like myself, other approaches haven't offered the answers, or it's been too fragmented of different pieces in different places. And there are other people this approach isn't right for, or they just don't feel drawn towards it. And of course, that is also okay. So I hope that gives a bit more context around the therapeutic coaching methodology, my background and work in this field. I look forward to your questions in the comments. And if you want to find out more about the training, you can go to therapeuticcoaching.com. Thanks for watching.